Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for the Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we're talking with successful business owners and partners of businesses to hear their stories of the journey to build their business. And because we know that success and achieving business results doesn't happen in isolation, it's not something that we can do on our own. We are recognizing the folks who have helped us to excel. I'm excited to have someone from the IT industry with us today. My guest opened up for an 80s band called Ugly Kid Joe in Chicago. That is so cool. We're going to ask a little bit more about that in a minute here. He enjoys fishing in his downtime, and he is most proud of being a dad to a wonderful 11-year-old boy who is his everything. It is my pleasure to welcome Tony to the show today. Welcome, Tony.
Tim, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, let's start with having you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of your personal story, like where you were born, where you live, about your family, and some of your hobbies.
Sure, absolutely. So I was born in good old Bloomington, Indiana. So I'm a Hoosier through and through. I get to say I'm a Hoosier, and that is sometimes contentious because I grew up in the Chicago area. So my younger brother does not get to say he's a Hoosier. I get to say it. But I moved back in 2000 to start Promethius Consulting with my former college roommate, Denver Abernathy, now longtime business partner, and live in Fishers, Indiana. So I've been here in the area 23 years or so.
Awesome.
And live in Fishers. Lewis, my 11-year-old, is he is the ultimate wingman. We do everything. We do everything together: fishing, camping. You alluded to my my Ugly Kid Joe fame, my 15 minutes of fame. Most people don't know even who Ugly Kid Joe. You would have to call them a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
And yes, I did open up for them in Chicago once, and it was hilarious because it was after their fame had. They didn't know they were no longer famous, but everyone else knew that ship had sailed. So it was fun. It was interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Tony, is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Well, let's see. Really, just several. I think one of the favorites that gets regurgitated from time to time, no pun intended. You'll see why that was a pun. I was a waiter long time ago while I was in school, and I worked at a very, very busy restaurant, and I used to love waiting tables because I found it to be very meditative. You know, it's when you're busy, you're so busy, there's so much to keep track of that you have to get into this Zen zone, you know, and I kind of enjoyed that. On a very busy day or evening once, and this was like a pasta restaurant. I think it was called the Spaghetti Warehouse. Here in Indy, we have the Spaghetti Factory. In the Chicago area, we had the Spaghetti Warehouse.
Okay.
But I didn't have a second to spare. It was so busy. The tray of food came to the table side, and I was, you have to remember who has what. You can't. I never wanted to be that guy that said, who had the lasagna? You know, that's low class. I had it all. So my back was to the customers. This is a family. And I had a plate of linguine and clams in my hand. And again, I was so in the zone. It was almost like I was out of body. It's like I wasn't even there. I was so in the zone. Well, I was so relaxed that I can't believe I'm saying this on camera. I drooled.
Oh,
right in the pasta.
Oh
no. And Tim, I'm just ashamed to say the truth of the matter is I had a moment. I said, what do I do? I just turned around and I served it. maybe that means I'm no longer. You really shouldn't be interviewing me. I'm clearly a horrible person, but that did. I told that story, and that's one that my family's asked me time and again to kind of retell. That's
I can imagine. Yes. Thank you so much for being so transparent. I love it.
Knucklehead.
So, Tony, tell us how the business came about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Absolutely. So, as I said, my business partner, Denver Abernathy, is he was an old college roommate of mine, dear friend. And I graduated from IU Bloomington in 92. And Denver and I kept in touch over the years. And oddly enough, neither of us has a stitch of IT education, nothing, not a stitch. And oddly enough, that was so in the mid 90s, that's kind of when the technology gold rush really started to happen. And we both found ourselves in the IT field, although neither of us had any training whatsoever.
Wow.
And we kept in touch. I had Denver was working kind of, you would call it an IT administrator. He for the organization he was with here in Indy, he oversaw everything IT for this organization. And I was in the Chicago area. I was a programmer analyst for the Northern Trust Corporation International Bank. And I was in there. I was working on their IT systems, and we determined, again, we're in the midst leading up to Y2K. We're in the midst of a serious gold rush. We were both young enough and naive enough that neither of us had any responsibilities. We didn't have families. We didn't have mortgages. Well, probably Denver had a mortgage by then, but we were just dumb and naive enough that we got this idea. He was up. Let's see. I guess maybe I was down in Indy to visit him, to say hi, catch up. We just kind of got this idea. Why are we working for someone else? Let's work for ourselves, And that's really how it started. We had almost no plan. And that's how we started. We started with nothing. It was bare bones, and we just bootstrapped our way. And here we are 23 years later, and we've come a really long way. Now we no longer do not have a plan. Well,
that's good.
we still don't operate that way, but over the years, it's interesting. You have a lot of people want to work for themselves. This is very common. So when they have friends or acquaintances who've actually done it, there's kind of, they want to see if they can learn what's the secret, because I want to do it too.
Yeah.
And one of the things Denver and I always say is, we always go right to, what are your responsibilities now? Because I think a key to our success, our key to the way we did it back then is, again, we had kind of nothing to lose. We didn't have wives to impress or even girlfriends to impress, no kids, nothing. So we could live very lean. When we have a friend who's very well established, maybe a high earner, but working for someone else, we kind of go right there first. We say, are you willing to have some downtime here, have a couple of bad years before? And half of our job is to scare people away. Business ownership is not for the faint of heart.
No, it certainly isn't.
Yeah.
So, Tony, tell us a little bit more about the company. What do you guys do? How do you help others? And how can people get a hold of you to learn more?
Absolutely. So our company is Promethius Consulting. There are a couple of different spellings. Prometheus is the Greek god of forethought. And we knew right from the get-go that our bread and butter was going to be essentially just managing IT networks for our customers. So we are a simple way to think about what we do is we're an outsourced IT department. for small and mid-sized companies that either can't afford to do that themselves or they just don't have the expertise. Really from day one, that's always what we've been. Now it's interesting as technology has progressed over time, of course, the way we advise clients and the way we design networks and the way we manage day to day has really changed quite a bit. But the main fundamentals have always stayed the same. The idea is, if you work with Promethius, IT is just, it's not your headache. We'll take all the responsibility. We'll be, we very often meet with management of our clients. So we're almost like an IT director, without having to have all that staff and infrastructure internally.
Right.
And the way to get a hold of us, our website, promethius.com, and that's P like Peter, ROM like Mary, ETHIUS. You can always call us 317-733-2388. You can tell I've given that number out about 8,000 times over the years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'd love to hear a story where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, and the impact that person had on you by nudging you to move forward where maybe you thought that you weren't able to do it on your own.
Yeah. Early on in the history of our company, we had, of all things, a client of ours. His name is Bob Decker. He is probably, I was going to say he's probably retired by now. He certainly deserves to be retired, but he might be the type of personality where he just likes to go to an office and sit and read the paper and that sort of thing. But back within our first 3 or 4 years of business, Bob was a client of ours, and I think he recognized, that we were young bucks and we probably needed a little help, a little guidance. And I don't remember. We may very well have gone to Bob. He's a very, very successful businessman and did extremely well for himself. We might have gone to Bob. I don't remember, but we decided. He said, "Listen, I will mentor you." We essentially exchanged services. It was kind of became a barter situation.
Yeah.
You don't charge me anything for IT, and I'm going to mentor you. And we met regularly for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was absolutely invaluable. And Bob was a person who did push us quite a bit early on. I remember one of the problems we had early on was we couldn't get our some of our clients to take our advice. And to Denver and I, this was kind of frustrating because our culture has always, and just who we are, it's always been kind of a service-oriented culture. So we are not salespeople. We're not out to drive Mercedes and get country club memberships. We're not out to hit sales goals and all that stuff. Our formula has always been, let's be good stewards for our customers' IT budgets. Let's do our very best to kind of help them make the right decisions. And because we knew we were coming at it from that direction, it was very frustrating when someone wouldn't take our advice. And we knew we're giving you good advice.
Right.
This is really what you should do. It really hurt to see some clients make mistakes. Now, I have to think back. Let's say this is roughly 2004, 2005. The IT industry on a whole by that time was so full of itself. IT people were just such jerks, and these are back in the days when IT professionals were so sought after that they would show up to work in Hawaiian shirts and Chuck Taylor high tops and with mohawks and earrings in their nose, and just kind of say, what are you going to do? Fire me? No, I don't think you are. So everyone was so dressed down. Now, Denver and I have never, we're not fashion plates. We're not rebels and all that stuff, but we still, compared to everyone else, we were still kind of, I would say, dressed down. We would work in jeans. That was practically the uniform, that was the uniform. And we were complaining to Bob one day, people aren't taking our advice. It's horrible. We know, it's causing problems. It's going to cause them pain. We know it.
Yeah.
And Bob used to talk about, you need to show your clients he used to say, out of respect for them, wear a suit, dress up out of respect for them, for their time. And I remember Denver and I, one day we went to Men's Warehouse. That's back when I was not so fat that I had to go get something custom. But we used to be able to just buy off the rack, And we went to Men's Warehouse and we each bought, I don't know, 3 or 4 suits or something like that. We started dressing in suits, and by God, it worked like a champ. People started taking our advice.
Yeah.
And that was a really good lesson, and it was a big stress reliever for us. I think he and I are both naturally wired. Anyway, I grew up. I saw my dad leave every morning in a suit. I mean, he used to mow his lawn in tassel loafers. That's how my dad always dressed up.
Yeah.
So that's all I knew. I felt much better doing that. Now that we're older and our clients know us so well, they trust us. We have this track record. Now we're in this phase, like we have like an IndyCar team uniform, a little bit. All our people can wear. We're like it's like seeing the Penske guys out there, at the track. Everyone's dressed the same.
Yeah.
And so we still really value. We learned that lesson early on. How you dress says something. People take something from that. And our current uniforms, I was coming into Indy from, I can't remember where I was flying from, but we got in, I don't know, nearly midnight. And I'm walking through the airport, and some Chip Ganassi team members were coming off some other flight. So I was walking through to go get our luggage with these guys. And they looked so professional, so uniform, it's like I would have hired those guys to do anything. You just by the way they dressed, right, and the attention to detail.
Yeah.
I knew it's a great organization. You just know. Yeah. And I said to Denver the next day, I said, we're both huge IndyCar fans. I've been to the race. Heck, this is almost going to be my 40th year in a row, I think, this race. So I said, it's perfect. Let's do. So now that's what we try to do. Our guys look like an IndyCar team. And yeah, it's pretty neat.
That's awesome. So Tony, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. So tell us about what, let's say, your biggest challenge during the years, and a fellow business owner or mentor who came alongside of you and helped you get through that.
Yeah, I think one of the things about business that is so challenging is but it's also, rewarding and interesting. It's so very complex. It's a weird thing because it is complex, but it isn't complex. And I think one of the biggest challenges over the years is that as you grow an organization, you, as the business owner, your bucket of problems completely changes.
Right.
Yeah. Back when we started, it was just Denver and I way back in the days. And so we were, we like to say we were the guys strapping on the tool belts. Yeah. It was us. We were customer facing. Now we have, 20 employees roughly. We're not a big organization, but we're still vastly different from the way we used to be.
Yeah.
And I think when you couple with that, that there's really there's no playbook, there's no owner's manual for your business. Whatever your business is, you have to kind of patch together your own
Yes.
owner's manual. I think what we have done, what we finally figured out is, look, you have to get a team together, team of advisors.
Mhm.
We're not finance guys, we're not legal guys,
Yes.
we're not sales executives. So we built a team, and I'll just pick one. We worked with Monty Riffer on sales. He's with the Riffer Group here in Indiana. Do you know Monty by
No,
chance?
no.
Oh, great guy. Chad Walker with Bose McKinney is our legal counsel, our main legal counsel. But I'll just say Chris Stump. Chris Stump is our CFO, our outsourced CFO. I'll just kind of pick on Chris as an example. Once we got to a level of complexity where we said, well, this is rarefied air for us. Our everything's bigger and more complex. Our budgets our payroll is bigger. Everything's bigger.
Yeah.
Chris is someone that we regularly meet with Chris, and we say, okay, do your thing. Tell us what the tea leaves are saying.
Yeah.
And I think, furthermore, one of the great things about working with an outsourced person, of course, we are outsourced,
Right.
We're an outsourced IT. We recognized a long time ago that part of our value is that because we work with so many computer networks, we've seen it all.
Yeah.
We've seen everything. So when we get a call from someone who says, whatever, I don't know, I just we got hit by ransomware. My IT guy is on vacation in Europe, and we don't know we can't even get a hold of him. What the hell do we do? That actually happened to us, by the way.
Wow.
We've seen so many different networks, so we've seen so much. That's part of our value. So we understood, as we need financial advice or legal advice, let's not hire in-house.
Yeah.
Let's get a guy who works with a ton of people.
Yeah.
So again, Chris Stump is one of those people, and we recognize the value. And we will ask our advisors all the time, hey, tell us about your other clients. What are they facing? How are they feeling? What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that perspective of, recognizing that, hiring an outside expert, right? Or outside contractor, or, outsourced anything, right? You're buying that expertise, right? And so
yes,
it may cost a little bit more than hiring internally, but to your point, you're getting all of that knowledge and wisdom and expertise that what might take us internally to do 2 hours, they may be able to do it in 15 minutes because, right, they've done it so many times that they know all the tricks and the
yes,
the best practices. So
yeah, absolutely. And I would say that I would actually say I don't think it's more expensive usually. That's the other thing. It's usually, I have found it to be less expensive to outsource, but you get a much more distilled expertise. So I think it's win-win.
yeah, that's awesome. So Tony, if I asked you to pick 3 people throughout your business owner journey that you're most grateful for helping with the overall success of the business, who are those 3 people and how'd they help you?
I would say right out of the gate, I'm going to say my business partner, Denver Abernathy, is that he's got to be number 1 for sure. He is truly the kind of the rock of our organization. He is, I mean, without Denver, we're kind of nowhere, I think there's something about him. He grew up on a farm, and I've been lucky enough over the years. The family farm still exists. It's still functioning family farm. I've been lucky enough to go out there and kind of help out and kick around over the years quite a bit. And as a city kid, I'm a Chicago city kid, right? So
Yeah.
you put me on a farm, I'm going to die pretty quick, I'm sure. But I have observed that there is, as a farm kid, I'm pretty sure that Denver, almost on a daily basis, was put into situations where he had, first of all, a lot of responsibility. I know you're a kid, but you're driving the tractor. You're this expensive piece of equipment that we must have. And when it breaks down, guess what? You're going to be the one fixing it. And you make sure these animals don't die and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he grew up in an environment where there was nowhere to turn. There's nowhere to pass the buck.
Right.
And he may have thought to himself, hey, I've escaped the farm, as an adult. I finally escaped the farm. Little did he know, he's still the guy. The buck stops with him. So he's really been our rock, our anchor. I would say another person is my dad. My dad was had a very distinguished career as an executive. He ran a multinational food packaging company. And I learned a lot just through osmosis. I had a little bit of a chance to actually work for his organization, like when I was in college, some of my summer jobs, because my dad was my dad.
Yeah,
I got to work here and there, but I got to actually see him in operation a little bit. He was so high up the org chart that I almost never saw. He was somewhere else, not even on the premises, but every once in a while he'd come in for a meeting. And I just got to see how he handled himself. And it was life-changing for sure. He was probably the most capable person I ever witnessed. Let's see. Who else? My goodness. So many people. I'll just mention Monty Ripper again. Monty came in and did a big project for us. His expertise is in sales. And he has a whole lot of experience. He worked for a little group that would take over floundering businesses and turn them around and then sell them. And they did this 5 or 6 times. But what's interesting, I think what Monty really taught me is actually he's a person. He was able to have this amazing career, but he did it with integrity. He's a person of faith. He is a straight shooter. And I think that's what that's actually sometimes when you work with someone, there's there's the expertise that you're paying them to show you, but then you learn some other things around the periphery.
Right. Yes.
And maybe they don't even know he probably didn't even know I'm showing Tony that you can stick to your principles. My dad was very much this way as well. You just knew he navigated this career of his, my dad, and he would never lie. He would never so Monty really helped me, I think, with my spiritual faith more than even though he's a tremendous sales intellect. Those are the 3 I would name off the top of my head.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you telling your stories about each of them. So, Tony, as we think about the future and let's say the next 3 to 5 years, what are the biggest challenges you see that you're going to face in being able to achieve your goals, and who are the types of people that you're going to need to know to help solve those challenges?
Oh man, thank you for helping me focus on the terror that awaits us. Lord knows. I think, Tim, we have some huge challenges ahead. And when I say we, I mean all, at least American business people, certainly all small business owners. We are in, I think I'm stating the obvious, we're in very strange times.
Yeah.
So I actually think that our biggest challenges are going to be actually societal and geopolitical. I think what's happening in the business climate now is people, as a business owner, you want to make plans, right? And it's important to make plans. And what is important is if you're going to do that successfully, you have to have a reasonable amount of faith that kind of the rules are generally going to be the same moving forward as they were in the past.
Yeah.
And my own personal faith in that has been really quite shaken. And so it's hard to say. It's interesting. We can, as a company, Promethius, as business owners, Denver and I can look back to 2008, and we actually weathered that economic crisis really quite well.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Our business, we've been lucky enough. It's kind of been impervious, and I would even look to COVID as well.
Yeah.
Now we had to do a lot of gymnastics during the COVID era. However, if you look at our bottom line and our fundamentals, etc., we've been just fine.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Now, even given all that, there's just kind of an element to what's going on in our society and in the geopolitical framework. There's an element of the unknown that is
Sure.
It just feels different. It feels different.
Yeah.
So, and who are we going to need to know? I don't know. The thing is, I think there's a chance that no one in our certainly circle of advisors and contacts and friends, there's a chance that no one is going to have an experience with what's coming.
Yeah.
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 And I don't know what's coming, and they don't know what's coming, but it just seems like it's not looking too good. So, Tim, I'm going to say the most important people are going to actually be people of integrity. I think that's going to be almost like I think relationships and friendships are going to be the most important. It's interesting. We have several clients, several that have been with us, well over a decade, so we have these long-standing relationships. And as I said earlier in this interview, we're not an organization. As I said, we're not looking to drive Mercedes and, pull the wool over someone's eyes. And so I know that for our clients, if we, like I said, Lord knows what we're going to be going through, but it seems like it's going to be rough times. I know that we will be, as much as we possibly can, we'll be an asset for our clients.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that we're going to be that way is because, we are grounded, moral people who, we're not, it's not all about us.
Yeah.
And I would just extrapolate that out and just think, I think we all need to surround, if you haven't already, make those connections, make those friendships, and just surround yourself with good quality people, who are solid, who are solid, because we don't know what's coming up.
Yeah.
Scary times.
It sure is. And you mentioned COVID, which was also, pretty scary for a lot of businesses. And the part of your story that you shared that I appreciate is, we talk to our clients about, set your vision, right? Set your long-term goals for your business, but then break it down into, what's going to happen over the next 90 days, because we really can't control or predict what's going to happen beyond 90 days, right? All we can do is, what can we do today and tomorrow and over the next couple of weeks, but don't give up on the what, right? Don't give up on the goal. The how may have to change, right? COVID made all of us have to pivot and adjust and rejigger things and look at stuff differently. But the difference between the folks who they ducked their head in the sand and said, oh well, I can't control anything right now, so I'm just going to wait it out over the next couple of weeks till it goes away. Well, unfortunately, a couple of weeks turned into a couple of years, right? Versus others who said, well, you know what, I still have to put food on the table. I got to figure this out, and I need to pivot and look at my business model differently. And those businesses actually came out of COVID in a much healthier position than they went into. So to your point, right, we don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of years, but if we set our sights on, we're going to win, right? We're going to be flexible and adaptable, and we're going to surround ourselves with good people, and we're going to maintain our morals and our standards, and right, we're just going to do the best that we can. Like, those are the businesses that are going to be successful and sustain through any of the ups and downs.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to be scrappy.
Yeah.
You have to be scrappy. It's not all, pina coladas and country clubs, it's.
Yeah. And I like when you said that you're gonna, at the end of the day, you're gonna do right by your clients. And we had clients who, weren't able to pay us through COVID, but we didn't fire them because the right thing to do was to help them get through the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Tim, I think there's a certain type of capital that no one talks about, and that's maybe call it social capital or something. And, one of the most powerful things we do, believe it or not, it's funny to see this work. Now in IT, it's a unique experience because there's a B2C side of IT, right? We're all used to it. We all get to go to the Apple store and buy iPhones and iPads, and or we get to go to Best Buy and buy, so everyone has some experience with equipment, and therefore a lot of times we see that bleed over into the organization. Let's say a business owner needs to outfit his staff, right, with machinery. Well, in his personal life, maybe he really loves Macs, I just love them. And so there's like this status or something, there's this,
Yeah.
And so sometimes a business owner will come to us and say, well, everything's getting old and decrepit, and I want to go Mac for everybody, And this is just an example. There are all sorts of, sometimes the owner will come to us and say, or the manager will come to us and say, here's what we need. And what we do from time to time, is now we could order a bunch of Macs. We do all sorts of hardware and sales and that sort of thing. And so here's a sale that lands right in our lap. And but sometimes we'll say no. no, we're not going to do that. And here's why it would be a really bad decision. And oftentimes the alternative is much less expensive, but it's the right thing to do. And what happens over time is those people remember that.
Yes.
And then years down the road, when we say, okay, now you're in a situation where you need this other piece of equipment and it's expensive, they're fine because they trust us.
Yes. Yes.
So this social capital thing is, people don't think about that because you can't put it on a balance sheet and and into financial reports. But at least for a small business, I think, I mean, what else is there this is
right.
This is the magic that can't make it through to financial statements, but it's so very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in bigger corporations, right, we measure our brand equity, right? But to your point, right, that's not something that we can tangibly get our arms wrapped around as a small business, but you can definitely, people can feel it, right? People know who they trust and who they like and who they prefer to do business with. And that reputation gets spread around because people tell other people about, wow, you know what, this is so abnormal that, they just talked me out of spending money with them. Right. And wow.
Right. And okay, so something you haven't asked me, but I'll ask the question for you and I'll answer it because I think it's pertinent to our conversation. You haven't asked me. So how do you grow your business? How do you guys go about, how do you market yourselves and that sort of thing? And the answer is we really do no marketing or sales. We have a process, but most of our business, a vast majority of our business comes through referrals.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's think about a referral here for a second. I'm not going to name names, but we all know, if we're business people, we all know people who are bad news, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we've been burned by someone or we know someone who's been burned by someone. Well, when you make a referral, getting back to this kind of social capital thing, I think this is going to be heady here. I'll try and keep it concise. What we're doing when I say, let's say Monty Ripper, our sales guru, right? If you say, gee, our organization, we have no direction sales wise at all, what do we do? I would say talk to Monty, but the reason I do it is because I know Monty is such a solid person and I have absolute faith that he's going to do the right thing. Now, by me giving you that referral, now you're going to value me a little bit more. Right. There's some social capital that happens there.
Yes.
And so, Tim, one of the most, where our biggest referral source is? It's actually from employees of our clients who move to another organization.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're in a culture where their IT people are out to lunch. They're still doing the mohawks and the Hawaiian shirts, and they're kind of idiots. And those people, they say, I know who you need to go with. I was at a place where I worked with them for years. They're great. And so they're in a new job and now they get a little more of this social capital. They're a little more valuable because of who they know. So this referral thing, you can't do that. You can't leverage referrals by being a shyster. Now, some people really try to do that.
Yeah, right.
Just because that's who they are and it works part of the time. But by being, by just having rock solid values and just like being a good, it's do unto others, right? That's really what it is, or being a good neighbor. Just by doing that and just being that consistently, the referral thing just naturally happens. So I think it's a much easier way to do business. Just be a good person,
Amen to that.
Yeah, just don't cheat anybody. Just be honest with them, do your best. And it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah, for sure. So Tony, you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you on your journey. If they were all on the show here today, what would you want to say to them?
Just thank you. Thank you. And I think the other thing is, I would say I was watching and I was listening, my dad, we lost my dad in 2016, but I kind of, I try to live my life in a way that just says to him, I was watching, I was observing, and just thank you. You're the whole premise of your show. I love it's no man is an island. It's people helping people. That's the way you get anywhere in life, I think.
Awesome. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show today. A pleasure speaking with you and hearing all of your insights.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You are most welcome. To everyone listening, thanks for watching Self-Made is a Myth with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help us spread this movement by liking the show and posting it on your social media. And to join us, go to bemadtogether.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.